Hello everyone, welcome to this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. I'm your host, Nathan Karch. It's been a while, but it's good to be back. Today's segment's all about boating, and I specifically want to cover what you would be expected to carry on your vessel if you were to be contacted by law enforcement or the U.S. Coast Guard or anything like that. So what the state requires and what the feds require is a little bit different. Normally you're probably going to be contacted by state law enforcement officials just because the U.S. Coast Guard, they don't have the manpower. So I want to run through that list and make sure that y'all are aware, and a lot of these things are just very, very easy things to take care of, but we see all the time that they're out of compliance. So I want to make you aware of what we require, and we'll start off with boating safety. So the boating safety or boating education is required by everyone born after January 1st of 1989. You have to have that by law. It is recognized anywhere in the U.S., so if you take it here in Tennessee, you can go anywhere and they will recognize it, and vice versa. If you have taken it out of Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, anything like that, and you come into Tennessee, then we recognize that, but you have to have that if you were born after January 1st of 1989. Now, if you were born before that, you're grandfathered in, but we highly encourage you to take it. It's got a lot of good information on there, and I guarantee you'll learn something. Also, you'll get a pretty good break on your insurance if you possess that. So those born after January 1st of 1989, when you take the test, you can study all the material online, but you will have to go to a physical testing location and take the test. It's got to be proctored. But those that are grandfathered in and are wanting to take it just for personal knowledge and stuff like that, you can actually take everything online exclusively. You don't have to go to any testing location, and you can have your certification printed out and then throw that to the insurance company that you have, and they'll give you a good little break there. Also, we stress this every single year, life jackets. Make sure that you have enough on board to accommodate everybody that is on your vessel. They have to be U.S. Coast Guard approved, and they have to be readily accessible in case of an emergency situation. We encourage everybody to have something that they're comfortable in, that fits them, but the generic orange ones that you see at any sporting goods store, those will suffice as well, just the horse collar ones. They are U.S. Coast Guard approved, so that's perfectly fine. The main thing is, if you are wearing your inflatables or you have inflatables, know that you have to be wearing those for those to count towards your overall quantity for the number on board and the specific individuals that are present on board. If they are not worn, they do not count towards the total. Next, registration. So registration is one of those things, they run from the date of purchase, so you can get 1, 2, or 3 years. We see often that people will buy a boat and they are running off of other people's registration. You cannot do that. That's illegal. Even though that registration is showing current, it's just like owning a car. You can't run off of somebody else's registration. That vessel has to be transferred into your name, and then you've got to get up-to-date registration on that. That is a common mistake. Some other things to dive into registration more specifically. Oftentimes people want the fancy lettering that's like cursive, or they want it to be color matched to their boat just for aesthetics. It looks good, but by law, it has to be 3-inch block letters. It has to have the proper spacing, and they have to be contrasting. So that's the main thing. Bold block letters, they can't be the cursive, and they have to be contrasting with the whole color of your boat. So make sure that you do that, or you run the risk of being contacted by law enforcement officials. The next thing is a throw cushion. Any vessel that is 16 feet or greater in length is required by law to have a throw cushion. That's basically just your square cushion that has handles on each side, and that's just in case of an emergency situation. Somebody's struggling to stay afloat, you can toss that out to them, and they have something that's buoyant to keep them afloat. If you've ever tried to toss a life jacket out, you can't throw that very well. That's the reason behind this throw cushion. Also, if you've ever been to a public pool or anything like that, the ring buoys, that counts as a throw cushion as well. So a ring buoy or any type of square cushion that has the handles, you will be in compliance. The next thing is a fire extinguisher. If you have an encapsulated gas tank on board, then you have to have a fire extinguisher on board. If it's just a little external portable gas tank for a little outboard that you got on your John boat, you're fine. You don't have to have a fire extinguisher. But know that you have to have some sort of fire extinguishing device on board. A lot of times you'll see the ones with the gauges. You can immediately tell if those are in good function by being either in the green or the red. And then you've got the push tab. If you push that down and it pops right back up, you know that it's good, in good working condition. If you push it down and it doesn't pop back up, then you know it needs to be replaced. We encourage you to check those things periodically every 6 months or so to make sure that they are in good working condition. Next, if you have a halon system or anything like that already installed on your boat, that counts as a fire extinguisher, so you don't have to actually have a tank. If you do have that halon system, that is perfectly fine. The next thing is a kill switch. If you are operating jet skis or wave runners, make sure to have that kill switch attached to your person, whether it be your life jacket or your wrist. It's got to be attached at all times. That way, if you take off or you get ejected, that boat does not take off and continue to travel down the lake, that it will stop immediately. Also, the biggest thing is if you are planning on traveling anywhere after dark on the water, make sure that your navigation lights work. We see this all the time, people running blacked out, and it is a huge, huge safety hazard. Make sure that your navigation lights are in good working condition. The reds and greens and all around white light are the only lights that you can run while you're going down the lake. So if your vessel is in motion, red and green and all around white light, that's the only thing that can be displayed. The LED light strips that run along the length of the hull on a lot of boats, you'll see them most of the time on pontoons, or you will see all kinds of different lights on cabin cruisers and wake boats. Those cannot be displayed while underway. Again, your most important one is your all around white light, and that cannot be obstructed by anything you have on board. So it needs to be the tallest light that you have. It's got to be taller than anything else that you have on board. So if you have a wakeboard tower or a bimini top, it needs to be higher than that highest point. That way it's not obstructed and it's visible from 360 degrees. And that basically just helps you be seen by other boaters, because that is the most important thing when you're out there, is to be seen. You don't want to be running blacked out, especially if you're going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour on the water. You definitely want to be seen. Also, the red and greens are important because it allows other boaters to see the orientation of your boat, and they know how to approach you or pass you. So make sure, keep those navigation lights on at all times when you are underway. The only exceptions are if you are at anchor or you're moored, and you can have your all-around white light on. You don't have to have your red and green on, but just have that white light on that's visible from 360 degrees. But from sunset to sunrise, that white light all around has to be on all the time. There are no exceptions. Also, make sure that you try to uphold the U.S. Coast Guard rules and regulations as well, because you might be contacted. They usually require some sort of sound signaling device, whether that be an air horn or a whistle, and then a lot of times they will require you to have flares just for an emergency situation where you need to signal for help. So a sound signaling device, and also visible, and with the flares you're going to be in compliance there. But more than likely you're going to be contacted by state law enforcement officials, and the original things that I covered, which was boating registration, life jackets, boating education if you were born after January 1st of 1989, throw cushion, navigation lights, fire extinguisher, and your kill switch. If you have all these things, you are going to be 100% in compliance, and we're just going to send you on your way. So that wraps up this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. I hope everybody has an opportunity to get out on the water, have fun, and be safe. We'll see you next time.